Alright, welcome back to Wmma Now with your host Chuck Stevenson. Coming at you today with a fight preview. So we're going to Saitama, Japan for RIZIN 40. We're going to the Super Atomweight division. That's 49 kilograms, 108 pounds. Seika Izawa taking on Shiyu Park. Now this is a rematch for the finals of the Super Atomweight Grand Prix that RIZIN put on this year. Now the rematch, they originally met back in October of last year at Deep 104th Impact, with Izawa coming away the winner via decision. But they've each fought 4 times since then, and they're going to rematch now in the finals of this tournament, having each fought twice previously to make it here. This is going to be a good one. And I'll tell you what, this fight has been seriously flying under the radar. I mean, nobody is talking. It seems like nobody is talking about this fight coming up this weekend. And it's the biggest fight on the card, in my opinion. A lot of people are talking about the Bellator versus RIZIN fights. I think this is the bigger fight here because this is the only one with real stakes involved. Anyway, let's get down into it. So let's get into the stats first. All right, Izawa coming in undefeated at 8-0. Park is 9-4 now. Since beating Park for the first time, Izawa has faced and beaten Ayaka Hamasaki twice, once in a non-title bout, once in a title bout. For the Grand Prix, she defeated Laura Fontoura via submission, and then Anastasia Svetkivska via submission to make it to the finals. Park, on the other hand, since losing to Izawa, she faced and defeated Reina via decision. Then went back to Deep, defeated Ira Koga. And then in the Grand Prix, she faced and defeated Kana Asakura. And then Ayaka Hamasaki, all of those wins by decision. Now, Izawa is the younger fighter at 25-31 for Park, but both ladies are really hitting their stride. They are about the same height, 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters. Looks like Izawa has the reach here, 64 inches, 163 centimeters to 62.7 inches, 159 centimeters. It's a little bit of an advantage, but not much. So I think this should be, this fight's going to be good. Man, you look at the predictions on Tapology, 369 predictions, only 7% are giving Park a chance. I think that's ridiculous here. But Izawa does have the win in the first fight and has looked great since then. So let's talk about that first fight for a little bit because I rewatched it. So Izawa did manage to get Park down in the first fight, which is what she needed to do, but it wasn't easy. And she had a hard time keeping Park on the ground. Big note here was that Park really messed herself up in that fight. She threw a kick, and it looked like it was going towards the thigh. And then Izawa was kind of like sitting up at the moment. And the kick landed to the head of the downed Izawa. And it ended up costing Park 2 points. Like, they not only docked her 1 point, they docked her 2 points. And the fight would have been a lot closer were it not for that. Should also be noted that Izawa showed a lot of damage in that fight. Park was beating her up on the feet, and Izawa's eye was almost swollen shut. And it's a different scoring system between RIZIN and Deep, so that damage would have favored Park there. But RIZIN doesn't score round by round. They have a whole fight system, whereas Deep uses, the Western style 10-point must. Bigger note here as well is that this fight is going to be in the ring. In the first fight, it was inside the cage. Now, a lot of people say, the cage always favors the grapplers better compared to the ring. I say that there are upsides and downsides for each style depending on the environment. In the ring, It should favor Park because it gives her a lot of chance to cut off the corners for her striking. So that favors the strikers there. A lot of people say that it's easier to take someone down with the cage for the grappler. That's somewhat true, but the cage also allows those strikers to get back up off the ground more easily than it is in the ring. And the ring... What was I looking at? It really just depends on how you apply your style. Like, not every striker has an advantage in a ring compared to the cage. And some strikers even prefer the cage. I've seen strikers prefer the cage as well. One note, Izawa in an interview said that she thinks the open ropes are actually going to allow her to get a body lock more easily, so she doesn't have to reach around and struggle against the cage to get body locks on Park to get the takedowns. So she thinks having that open space between the ropes will help her more than it would in the cage. So she thinks that the ring will actually help her a bit. Now you look at who they each faced in the Grand Prix, and you could probably argue that Park faced a tougher competition in the Grand Prix. She faced Asakura first, and whereas Asakura was the favorite, and then she faced Ayaka Hamasaki, where Hamasaki was the favorite in that fight. So you could easily argue that Park was the underdog in both of her Grand Prix fights, whereas Izawa, she faced Laura Fontoura in the first fight, and Fontoura was giving her trouble. Fontoura was legit giving her trouble with that triangle for most of the first round. Now, Izawa did get out and escape and got the submission, but nobody really knew who Laura Fontoura was at the time, and nobody was really crediting her with the chance to win. And then in Izawa's next bout, she was supposed to face Reina. Reina had an injury, had to draw out, so Reina got replaced by Anastasia Svetkivska, and no one was really giving Svetkivska much of a chance against Izawa either. So, yeah, one could argue that Park had the tougher matchups in this Grand Prix, and that she wasn't really favored to win either of them, whereas Izawa was favored to win both of her matchups. Overall, I think this is going to be interesting. I slightly favor Izawa to win just because she has the confidence coming in, but I'm cheering for Park. One note, whereas for the last basically 2 years, Park had been training over in Japan, had been living and training in Japan, over at Crazy Bee, learning from Miyu Yamamoto. She went back to Korea for this one and was training at Team Mad. This is her first fight camp in, a couple of years that she got to train alongside Sahi Ham. That could really help her out a lot. I mean, Ham is, one of the best atomweights ever. So that could really help her out. But we'll see. Definitely a lot of strong judoka coming out of Team Mad, which that should help Park a lot there. And that, there are a lot of judo fighters coming out of Team Mad, and she's facing Izawa, who is a judoka. So that could help her. But I kind of wonder, she was doing so well training at Crazy Bee and improved so much over the past couple of years with them. I wonder if this change in environment for this fight camp could possibly hurt her. So that's a note to think. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this bout. Seika Izawa versus Shiyu Park rematch. This time it's for the RIZIN Super Atomweight Grand Prix Championship. Like I said, I'm slightly favoring Izawa. Cheering for Park, though. I think this fight is a lot closer than many people are calling it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like the video, please give it a like and go ahead and subscribe to WMMAC Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.